What's up, peeps? How y'all doing today?
Kacy, you get the Falcons for a second time, but obviously the first time you played him, you didn't have to really face Bijan Robinson at all.
Right.
How obviously you probably will get more of him on Sunday, and how much does that change what you expect from him?
Well, it's just another explosive player they putting on the field. They do a great job in the running game, but he adds another additional element to it because his speed and explosiveness now is just like you misfit a run here, he goes 75, not 25. So it'll be critical that we be on point about that.
Might have a couple more healthy guys at the inside linebacker position, but oh my gosh, what was it like this past week when you're down to having to put a safety in that spot? I know he's played some dime before, but just what was that like for you?
This will have to be a first, but it's like, you go back to the typical NFL, the next man up, but I've never actually really seen it happen, and we were living it, really. When you then KJ get hurt in the second series, it's like, here we go now. So, but my hat really goes off to those guys, what they were able to do. And I remember making the comment in our staff meeting, usually sometimes the guys, hey, we ain't getting the calls. Not one time did they complain about it. And so it was kind of a relatively smooth operation, which is a credit to those guys.
And I know there's a possibility you get Levante back. I know Servacier's on the mend, and he's starting to feel better. But just to be able to potentially have those guys in a week when you're going to be facing, a guy like Bijan Robinson, for instance, Cordell Patterson.
Right.
Just the kind of damage that those guys do.
Right. Well, with those guys, you'd ultimately like to be at your best at all time against them because it's going to take all hands on deck to try to corral what they do, and they're hard-headed about what they do and committed to what they do. So we need every able body we got to be able to try to slow them down.
Kacy, I know a situation like Sunday really calls for almost creativity as a coach to figure out how to fit a square into a round peg, that kind of thing. Todd mentioned that the next option after Ryan might have been a corner used there. Is that right?
We had a corner, then we had a outside linebacker that was going to move inside, and just the different packages. But a couple of things worked to our advantage because when they got to some nickel, we had a package already in place that we bring in Joe and extra guys. So that kind of helped us a little bit, but we were hanging on.
How often do you work on those break glass in case of emergencies?
Well, a couple of times we had to use it last year. If you remember, like Joe came in and was kind of that guy when we were banged up inside. I think Levante was down and we were short, this and that, and especially in base, so we could get away with it a little more than when it got to sub. But now having Ron, when they were in because of his coverage ability, that helped us a lot. But you're rolling the dice.
When you get to this point in the season, everybody knows every game, but you run out of games, right? We're in
No
December now, so I think Coach Bowles said something like 8 days to first place.
Right.
But is there even a heightened understanding of where you as a team, as a staff, you guys are at in the season, and that the math really doesn't favor you if you don't win this game?
Well, the thing is, we looked at it. We started a couple of weeks ago saying this is the way we're going, proceeding one game at a time, and everybody in that locker room knows how big this game is for us. So we just got to put our head down, and it's a tough matchup at their place, and they beat us already this year. So now it's the time to put your best foot forward.
And because they're a running team, you're going to see the tight ends, right? You just like to how much does that make Pitts more effective in terms of like?
Well, the way they utilize them, when I come here and use them, we get ready to play opponent. We have maybe 2-3 personnel groupings we're going to see. With the way they use Pitts, they have 8 to 12 personnel groupings. Now, we can get the same plays, but it forces us to make some decisions. Are you going to go nickel versus this? You're going to play base here? You're going to play? Yeah. And it just kind of puts you all over the place, and then they're in and out, so we'll be running people on the field, off the field. It just creates a lot of problems with the way they do that, the personnel and the matchups. So now you're worried about a matchup. Well, we could put a corner on him, but he going outside them. We can put a linebacker on him now that he can't keep up and cover. So you're going to be playing a guessing game all night.
The last time you guys faced the Falcons, Pitts had those 2 catches there on that last drive instead of that field goal by Younghoe Koo.
Right.
What jumps out at you about that? What are you hoping to kind of get corrected? I know they'll try to attack you probably differently, but what are you hoping to get corrected this go around as a defense?
Well, the thing is, if we look back at it, we got some takeaways, but those takeaways, they were going in the end zone to score. So, you could look at it like that could have been another 14 points. So we won. We need to try to take the ball away. We need to try to take care of the run game. And then we got to survive the explosive plays because with London out there, Pitts out there, those could be some major matchup problems. Then now you got 7. Who's covering him? And they create a lot of problems for you.
Coach Logan Hall seemed like he had one of his more impactful games this
Nope.
past week. What have you seen from him over the last several weeks and just his development this season?
You know, he has kind of just been steadily making improvements. That's the thing. We were just talking to him when we met earlier today. He just got to keep taking steps. And some of the plays he made in the game last week were some of the best ones I've seen him make since I've started coaching him. And that's a credit to where he is. And he's just so close. What we just got to get him to make the next step from making routine plays to making splash plays, which we feel like he has the ability to do.
Coach, we haven't talked to you since Line Kacy won NFC Defensive Rookie of the Month.
Okay.
Another young defensive lineman
Right.
really coming into his own the past few games.
Okay.
What can you say about Kacy and like his emergence?
We need to fix his run technique. That's no. We need to. He's been a joy to coach. You know, this guy has oodles of ability. The thing is just, and he's like a sponge. Been such a young player, but some of the stuff that he's been able to do, coming in right now and making the plays and the impacts he's having on the game is impressive. It's just we're still throwing a lot at him after missing much training camp as he did, missing the preseason. He's still in catch-up mode where everybody else is in end of season mode. So we steady got to speed him up on some things, but I'm glad he's with us.
Yaya Diaby has the second most sacks on the team and the most of any outside linebacker. And I know when he came in, the strength was there, you know, the power, but I know there was also, okay, he's got to kind of work on some of his moves, technique, and things like that. Just where is he at in terms of advancing as a player, in terms of progressing?
He's another one of our young players that's getting better and better each week, and we kind of said it at the start of the year. I don't know what we have. I know we're talented. We got a lot of young guys now. We don't know where they're going to go, but we know we got some young talent. And he's just kind of along the same mode. And he just kind of bought in, and his physical tools allow him, because I don't know if you remember the first play of the game, he knocked the tackle upfield, came back and made the tackle. He is a physical specimen. He's just young players, and you have your growing pains with him, but to see the growth he's making and coming, and we have a complex defense for a young player. So what him able to do, what Kalijah is able to do, those young players are picking up our scheme, only going to help you going forward.
Not every team is in this position that you're in.
Right.
Is this the fun part of the NFL, when you get to this and you're playing for games that are going to get you to February, January?
No question. You playing meaningful games in December is big, and we just talked to, I've been on some teams where you kind of coming up with something to say. Well, you got to play for pride this week, play for the name on your back. I heard all those speeches before. Yeah, no, that to be playing meaningful games this time of year, that says something. Everybody got injuries, everybody got this, everybody got that, but to be playing for something, that says a lot this time of the year.
Casey, it's the other side of the ball, but on the Godwin touchdown Sunday, the offense had an unbalanced line.
Right.
I don't know that the Panthers handled it correctly, but like the only other time you guys done this, I think the Saints called a timeout right away.
Right.
What do you usually tell guys in terms of when you see that the
Well,
right way
we
to handle
said,
it?
and funny as you mentioned, every time we play Atlanta, they go unbalanced line against us. So it's something we constantly have to prepare for, because it's the thing, if you're don't line up correctly, this and that, they get a free play, and they constantly, since we've been here, every time we play, we just worked on it today, they have shown us the unbalanced line. It's a great tool, and a lot of time people use it with hurry up. So not only do they come and race up to the line, they don't give you time to see that it's a line, and then they quick snap you. So you really got to be locked in to see that tackle went over there when he broke the huddle. He usually comes right here, so we got to work to get lined up. It is a problem, especially if you later don't get lined up, then you'll see the problem.
Who was your corner that would have been Izian? Because then you have to move him out of position.
Exactly, it moves everybody. No question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great.